There's a moment in life when you suddenly realize how short it really is. Sometimes it happens at a funeral, when you see a casket lowered and you feel the weight of time. Sometimes it's in a hospital room, watching a loved one breathe slowly, and you wonder how many breaths you yourself have left. And sometimes it's in the quiet on an ordinary day, when you catch yourself asking, where did all the years go? Life is short. We all know it, but we rarely live as if we believe it. Most days we act like time is an endless resource. We trade our hours for tasks that drain us, we push our dreams to the side, and we tell ourselves, someday. But the truth is, someday isn't guaranteed. Every day that passes is a day we'll never get back. It's easy to get caught in the rhythm of routine. We wake up, rush to work, scroll on our phones, plan for tomorrow. We convince ourselves that happiness is waiting in the future. When we have more money, when we get that promotion, when life finally slows down. But the clock doesn't pause for us, it keeps moving, and while we wait, we're spending the only currency that really matters, our time. And here's the question that haunts so many of us. Are we spending it wisely? Because if life is short, then every choice becomes meaningful. Every moment is an investment, and how we choose to spend our days will become the story of our lives. This video isn't about fear, it's about clarity. It's about asking ourselves what really matters and how we can align our lives with those values before it's too late. We'll explore why chasing more often leaves us empty, why relationships shape the true wealth of our days, and how small shifts in perspective can change the way we experience time itself. By the end, my hope is not just that you see life as short, but that you feel empowered to make it full. Because while the years may be limited, the meaning we can create within them has no limit at all. And that is the gift of a short life. It forces us to be intentional, to choose wisely, and to live deeply, right here and right now. It's strange, isn't it? We all know life is short, but most of the time, we live as if it isn't. We make plans years ahead, argue over small things, and waste hours scrolling through endless distractions. Somewhere deep down, we carry the knowledge that time is limited, yet we bury it under routines, responsibilities, and noise. Part of the reason is that the shortness of life is uncomfortable to face. Thinking about endings makes us uneasy, so we trick ourselves into believing we have more time than we really do. We push dreams aside with the excuse that we'll get to them later. We delay phone calls to loved ones thinking they'll always be there. We avoid risk, telling ourselves there's still time to try again tomorrow. But tomorrow has fooled many before us. Another reason we forget is the illusion of busyness. When the calendar is full and the days are packed, it feels like life is overflowing. But busyness can disguise emptiness. We mistake activity for meaning, as though checking boxes off a to-do list is the same as living fully. Deep down, we know it isn't. But slowing down long enough to ask hard questions, am I spending my time well, can be unsettling. We also forget because modern life is designed to distract us. Every notification, every headline, every algorithm pulls our attention toward what's urgent instead of what's important. We don't notice the years passing because our attention is constantly pulled into the next moment, the next demand. Then one day we look back and realize entire seasons of life have slipped by while we were looking the other way. And maybe we forget life is short because remembering it requires courage. It requires facing our mortality, and that's something most of us would rather avoid. It's easier to pretend we have time, to comfort ourselves with the lie of abundance. But that avoidance costs us. It makes us live shallowly, drifting through days without ever stopping to ask if these are the days we want to be living. Yet, there's another side to this truth. Forgetting that life is short can be a problem, but remembering it can be a gift. When we allow the reality of time's limits to sink in, it doesn't just scare us, it sharpens us. It brings a kind of clarity that busyness can never give. Suddenly, the little annoyances lose their power. The endless chasing after things that don't matter starts to feel empty. And in that space, we find room to choose differently. The challenge is to carry this awareness with us, not just in moments of loss or crisis, but in the ordinary days too. Because if we can remember that life is short, even on a Monday morning, even while stuck in traffic, even when routines threaten to blur the days together, then we stand a chance of spending our time on what really matters. One of the easiest ways to waste a short life is to believe that happiness lies in more. More money, more success, more recognition, more stuff. It sounds reasonable at first. If a little is good, then more must be better. But this chase can quietly consume us, and by the time we notice, we've traded years of our lives for something that never truly satisfies. Think about it. How many people spend decades climbing ladders they don't even want to be on? They sacrifice health, relationships, and peace of mind, all for titles or numbers in a bank account. And when they finally reach the top, they discover the view isn't as fulfilling as they imagined. The goalpost has moved again. There's always someone richer, more accomplished, more admired. So the chase continues, like running on a treadmill that never stops. The trap of more isn't new. Human history is filled with it. Ancient kings built empires only to feel restless. Modern society has simply packaged the same hunger into different forms. Career achievements, luxury lifestyles, digital fame. But underneath it all, the same emptiness lingers. Because more is a horizon you can never reach, each step forward only pushes it further away. The danger is subtle. Chasing more makes us postpone living. We say, I'll rest when I have enough. I'll spend more time with my family once I hit this target. I'll start enjoying life after I've achieved that milestone. But life doesn't wait. While we're chasing, our children grow up, our parents grow old, and our bodies wear down. One day, we realize the things we were running toward don't matter nearly as much as the things we ran past. This doesn't mean ambition is bad. Growth and progress are natural, but the trap lies in believing that more alone will bring fulfillment. It rarely does. True fulfillment comes from alignment, from knowing what actually matters to you and shaping your life around it. For some, that might mean building a business. For others, it might mean raising a family, creating art, or serving a cause bigger than themselves. The point is, when you know what enough looks like for you, the trap of endless chasing loses its power. Life is short, and if we spend it only chasing more, we risk missing the joy that comes from enough. Enough love, enough purpose, enough presence in the moments that can't be bought. In the end, nobody looks back wishing they had squeezed out a little more money or bought one more car. They look back and wish they had spent more time on what truly mattered. When people look back at their lives, one theme rises again and again: relationships. The faces of loved ones, the laughter of friends, the comfort of being known and cared for. In the end, the true wealth of life is not measured in possessions or titles, but in the quality of our connections. And yet too often we spend more time investing in things that fade than in people who matter. It's easy to forget this truth in the rush of everyday life. Work deadlines press in, goals demand attention, and relationships quietly slip to the background. We tell ourselves we'll call our parents later, we'll plan that trip with friends next year, we'll be more present with our children once things settle down. But life rarely settles, and while we're waiting, time is moving. Conversations we could have had are lost. Memories we could have made never happen. Relationships give life its texture. They're what make victories sweeter and struggles bearable. Think about a celebration, a birthday, a wedding, a graduation. The joy doesn't come from the cake or the decorations. It comes from the people around us. Now think about hard seasons. Sickness, loss, failure. What keeps us going isn't our bank account or our resume, but the presence of someone who stands beside us. Psychologists and researchers have studied this truth for decades, and their findings are remarkably consistent. People with strong, close relationships live longer, healthier, and happier lives. A famous Harvard study that followed participants for over 80 years concluded that good relationships are the single most important factor for well-being. Not wealth, not fame, relationships. Yet many of us live as though relationships are optional extras. We prioritize career over connection, productivity over presence. But when the clock runs out, it won't be the hours we spent at the office that bring peace. It will be the moments we spent with those we love. This doesn't mean we need hundreds of friends or a perfect family. Even a few deep, genuine connections can shape our lives profoundly. What matters is the quality of those bonds. The people who know us, accept us, and share in our journey. The ones we can laugh with, cry with, and sit in silence with. That is true wealth. Life is short, and one of the wisest ways we can spend it is by nurturing the relationships that matter. By choosing to put down our phones and look into someone's eyes. By taking the time to say, I love you, I'm sorry, or I'm proud of you. By being present, because presence is the greatest gift we can give. At the end of it all, we won't measure our lives by the trophies we won or the money we earned. We'll measure them by the love we gave and the love we received. And that's a kind of wealth that never runs out. One of the quiet tragedies of life is that we often overlook the very moments that make it beautiful. We chase milestones, the graduation, the promotion, the house, the big trip, thinking that joy is waiting for us there. And yes, those milestones matter. But ask anyone who has lived long enough and they'll tell you, Life's richest joy is often hidden in the small, ordinary moments we too easily dismiss. Think about the way sunlight falls through your window on a slow morning, or the way your child laughs at something only they find funny. Think about the warmth of a shared meal, the comfort of a quiet evening walk, the relief of hearing a friend's voice after a long day. None of these moments are flashy, they won't make headlines, but they are the threads that, woven together, create the fabric of a meaningful life. The problem is, our culture trains us to look past them. We're told that happiness lies in big achievements and major purchases, so we scroll past the present moment, always reaching for something grander. But by doing so, we miss the very things that could have filled us with peace and gratitude. Finding joy in the small moments doesn't mean giving up ambition or ignoring long-term goals. It means noticing what's already here, instead of constantly waiting for something better to arrive. It's the practice of presence, training ourselves to stop, breathe, and really take in the life we're living right now. It's not easy. Our minds are restless. They replay regrets from yesterday and spin worries about tomorrow. But the truth is, the only place joy ever really exists is in the present moment. The past is memory, the future is imagination. The now is all we truly have. And if we can learn to notice it, to savor it, even in the smallest ways, life feels fuller. There's a reason so many people at the end of their lives talk about missing the little things. They don't say they wish they had worked longer hours or bought fancier things. They say they wish they had paid more attention to the moments that seemed small at the time, but in hindsight were everything. The smell of rain on the pavement, the comfort of someone's hand in yours, the silly inside joke that still makes you laugh years later. These are the jewels scattered through the short time we have. They cost nothing, but they mean everything. Life is short, and if we want to spend it wisely, we have to train ourselves to see what's already in front of us, to notice, to savor, and to give thanks for the small moments. Because in the end, those small moments will turn out to be the big ones. If life is short, then drifting through it is the greatest risk of all. Many people reach the end of their days and realize they lived reactively, responding to demands, following routines, doing what was expected, but rarely choosing with clarity. Living wisely means living with intention, shaping your days around what truly matters instead of letting the days shape you. Intention begins with asking honest questions. What do I value most? What do I want my life to stand for? If time is the only currency I can never earn back, where do I want to spend it? These questions may feel uncomfortable, but they cut through the noise. They remind us that every yes to something is also a no to something else. Every hour spent scrolling is an hour not spent creating, loving, resting, or growing. Living with intention doesn't mean controlling every detail. Life will always surprise us with detours and storms. But it does mean choosing a direction instead of floating aimlessly. It means being clear on your priorities so that when choices come, you don't drift into regrets. Think about how most people handle time. They treat it like loose change in a pocket, spending it carelessly, assuming there's always more. But intention treats time like treasure. It asks, is this worth my life? Because in truth, that's what you're spending. Not just minutes, but pieces of your one short life. For some, intention may mean simplifying, letting go of commitments or possessions that don't add meaning. For others, it may mean taking bold risks, starting a business, writing a book, traveling the world. For all of us, it means refusing to live on autopilot. Because autopilot may keep us busy, but it rarely keeps us fulfilled. Living with intention also invites balance. It's not only about grand dreams, it's also about daily choices. Being intentional can be as simple as choosing to really listen when someone speaks, choosing to rest instead of overworking, or choosing to express gratitude for the small joys of the day. These small intentional acts shape the texture of our lives just as much as the big decisions. The beauty of intention is that it creates alignment. When your actions match your values, even ordinary days feel meaningful. Work becomes more than a paycheck. Relationships become more than obligations. Rest becomes more than escape. It becomes renewal. Life is short, but it doesn't have to feel empty. If we live with intention, even a short life can feel full. Because the goal is not to stretch our days endlessly, but to fill them with choices that reflect who we are and what matters most. Life is short. Those three words carry a weight we often try to avoid. But when we let them sink in, they don't just remind us of our limits. They remind us of our possibilities. Because once we see time as the rare and precious resource it truly is, we begin to live differently. We stop chasing the illusions that drain us and start choosing the things that matter. We've seen how easy it is to forget life's brevity. We distract ourselves with busyness, with routines, with endless scrolling. We fall into the trap of chasing more, believing it will fill us only to find it leaves us emptier. We postpone relationships, telling ourselves we'll make time later, forgetting that later is never guaranteed. We look past the small, ordinary moments, not realizing that they are the very threads that make up a meaningful life. But there is another way. We can choose to live with intention. We can pause long enough to ask ourselves, what do I want my days to stand for? Who do I want to walk alongside? What will I regret not doing if tomorrow never comes? These questions don't have easy answers, but they give us direction. They pull us away from autopilot and into awareness. When we live with intention, even the simplest things gain depth. A meal shared with family becomes a memory. A walk in the evening light becomes a moment of gratitude. A hard day becomes an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, more compassionate. Intention transforms time from something we spend unconsciously into something we invest with care. And perhaps this is the greatest wisdom of all. Life doesn't need to be long to be meaningful. History is filled with people whose lives were brief, yet full of purpose, beauty, and love. What matters isn't how many years we are given, but how deeply we live the years we have. So maybe the real invitation is not to fear life's shortness, but to honor it, to let it wake us up, to remind us to call the people we love to create instead of consume, to rest instead of rush, to notice instead of overlook, to stop waiting for some distant future and start living the only life we're guaranteed, the one unfolding right now. Life is short, but that truth is not a burden, it's a gift. Because knowing our time is limited gives us the courage to spend it wisely. And when the end does come, as it will for all of us, we will be able to look back not with regret, but with gratitude, knowing that though our life was short, it was also rich, full, and deeply lived.